There have been so many cases of young kids being taken advantage of in Hollywood. It's almost like a daily occurrence to hear about a new victim coming forward against a star. In today's story, we are headed to Broadway because Hollywood culture spans both coasts. Alice Ripley is being accused by a TikToker of full-blown manipulating this girl when she was as young as 12 years old. So let's get into it. Before we get into this video, I want to be very upfront with you guys and let you know that we're getting all of our information from a girl on TikTok named Bree Lynn. She has come forward with her experiences against Alice Ripley, and these are her experiences that we're talking about today. We're going to be using terms like accused and allegedly because nobody's talking about this. Journalists are refusing to report on it, and I decided why not talk about this situation because it's exactly what we want to expose in Hollywood. But Alice Ripley is a 57-year-old American actress, singer, and songwriter. She's known for her roles on Broadway, especially in Next to Normal. When it comes to Broadway, I'm not like a huge fan, so I'm not super familiar with her work or who she is. I've only seen one Broadway show. It was like Elf in New York City, but she is really successful. She's won awards before for her performances. While Alice was born in California, she was primarily raised in Ohio and Pennsylvania. She actually ended up going to college, and one fact I found was that she's one out of 11 siblings, which that's a lot of kids. The final thing I'd like to mention before we get into Bree's TikToks, I'd like to mention that I don't really know if Alice is gay or straight or lesbian or what, because I tried looking up her relationship status online, and there's actually a weird website called like Celeb Couples. And if you look at this website, you will see that she is reportedly single. We don't really know much about her past relationships either. They do mention that Alice is supposedly straight and supposedly had a boyfriend before, but she likes to keep her personal and love life private. Now let's take a look at Bree's viral TikTok. She posted it this past weekend. It is blown up. There are so many people in the Broadway community talking about what she has mentioned, and we'll get into that in a moment, but let's go ahead and review the TikTok together. We can't watch it with sound because it has like a Billie Eilish song, but it explains a lot. Okay, so let's get our glasses on. There's going to be a little bit of reading here, but I do want to be upfront with you guys that Bree has actually posted more TikToks. She posted one like a few minutes ago, so we will react to that one in a moment, but this is the one that went viral. So she posts this one in reference to growing up and realizing that pretty much she's been taken advantage of by this woman named Alice Ripley. And as you guys can see, she is an award-winning Broadway actress. When the details she goes into, okay, so here's a picture of them, and she actually says, "Our first conversation was about a photo of you in lingerie. That is not appropriate, especially for a young girl." And I feel like it's important that we highlight that not only was this girl 12 when that happened, but this is a like woman on, well, minor situation, but it's a woman who is the perpetrator, and we need to also acknowledge that women can be the predators too. She said, "And when I was 13, you told me that the first time we locked eyes, you felt the world stop." Oh, the world stop, please. It's just like that type of manipulative language is exactly what this girl here is exposing. You were having constant inappropriate interactions with me, all while talking crap behind my back. Ooh, okay, so that's scary. And a ton of photos they have together. So she has a lot of receipts. "And when one of your insane fans tried to hurt me, you were the only adult in the state that could have helped me, and you left me there." Which, oh my gosh, she actually talks about that in the recent one she just posted, so we'll definitely revisit that in a moment. "And I've spent 10 years trying to convince myself it didn't happen and I was in the wrong. That is not okay. She's not in the wrong, and I'm glad that she is speaking out because she's getting a ton of support. You separated me from all of the friends I had made, and you made me hate the Broadway community I once loved. Aw, that's so sad. And I never told anyone, but I now know I was never the problem because I was a kid. And that's exactly right. The Broadway community is its own beast. And like I said earlier, I'm not familiar with Broadway, so I can't really speak much about the community, but I've been looking at their blogs online, and it's interesting to see, like, okay, so a lot of people are being supportive of this TikToker, of Brie, because of Alice. But if you look at the community, a lot of people are like not buying it, not paying attention to it. Like, Alice is a big deal in their community, and she speaking out against this person is really shaking up Broadway and maybe going to reveal some of the darkness going on there. Now let's go ahead and follow up with some of Brie's recent TikToks. I do want to be upfront with you guys that I did cut this one because she starts explaining what GROO, you know what I'm talking about, like the act of an adult manipulating a young minor to, like, you know, take advantage of them later on. She explains that in the beginning of this one, so we're jumping to where she starts answering some of our questions.
I want to clear up is that I saw somebody in a thread say that it didn't look like I was 12 in any of the pictures that I shared. However, most of the pictures that I chose to put in that video were actually from later on, so they were like 13, 14. And the pictures I chose for a reason, specifically the last two. So the reason why I chose this photo and why it was the longest time frame at the end of the video is because this was during the tour stop of Next to Normal in San Francisco. And I just want everybody to be totally aware of the fact that I am taking this picture myself in the mirror reflection. That is because I was alone with this woman in her dressing room at the theater. She was in her 40s at the time, and if you think that it's normal for a woman in her 40s to have a 14-year-old girl alone in her dressing room, it's not. That's not normal. I was also in her dressing room more than once at the Booth Theater, either by myself or with another teenage girl. The reason that I said the age of 12 at the beginning of the video is because that is when we became friends on Facebook. I friended her, I initiated conversation. I also at times initiated conversations. I was a child who had recently come out as gay, and I idolized this woman. However, with her being the adult in that situation, I realized that she should have shut those conversations down immediately. She should have stopped talking to me immediately, and she did not. She pursued a friendship with me despite the fact that we had these conversations. A lot of these conversations were through text message or in person. We did begin communication on Facebook, but we often texted throughout the years. Before Next to Normal left for the tour, she invited me to the private rehearsal of the tour along with 2 other teenage girls. I included this photo even though it's dark and hard to see because this was me alone with her at her rehearsal for her daily practice show in Chicago. This was another photo backstage at the Booth Theater in New York. I was 13 in this one, there with her with another teenage girl. I am going to make a part 2 of this because I feel like there's more things that I need to.
A few things here. Okay, first reactions. First off, where are her parents? I mean, no shade to Brie or anything like that because she's not at fault at all for any of this, but where the F are her parents? And then secondly, why are there multiple adults at these rehearsals and they see Alice showing up with multiple teenage girls and they're just like, oh, that's normal. Like, she's just got a little field trip of girls with her. Ew, what type of culture is this? And it looks like Alice used to use the internet to go and, allegedly get these young girls. Someone said in a comment, yep, she first tried to friend me online when I was a teen at stage door. Always knew something was off. I'm so sorry. So why is she online trying to friend young girls? And it seems like multiple people had this experience. I mean, this person shared, I knew someone else who had this experience with her. I also find it interesting, and honestly, it doesn't really matter what Alice's preference is, whether she is straight or not, but I find it interesting that she seems to be very openly not straight with all of these young girls, yet on the internet she's very, it's very well documented that she is a straight woman. And I just think that is something I find fascinating, because it's like, is she like also coming out at the same time as being exposed as some type of like predator? Let's go ahead and watch Bree's second TikTok explaining some of this situation.
So just to repeat myself, I met Alice for the first time on Facebook when I was 12. That's when our conversations began. I met her in person a month after I had turned 13. So this is actually the first picture I ever took with her when I had just turned 13 at the Broadway Cares Equity Fights AIDS flea market. So I was born August 8th, 1996. Here's a picture I posted on Facebook of Alice and I at the Serendipity restaurant August 7th, 2010, which was the day before I turned 14. So there are a lot of pictures before, in between, and after the ones that I shared in my video. I was going through a lot during these years. I grew up in a conservative town. I came out as gay very young, and unfortunately I went through really intense bullying and really severe mental health struggles, and I was struggling at the time. I was a very vulnerable kid, and I opened up to this person. I really looked up to her, and she was very kind to me. I see a lot of people saying, oh, but Alice is so kind. Yes, she's very kind, but she's a little bit too kind with kids, and she lets situations go to places that are inappropriate. She puts children in situations that are inappropriate. I have learned over the years that many other people feel the exact same way, that they were groomed by this woman. And she did a really great job at always reminding us that she's a public figure that has power, and that had a large fan base that would protect her whether she was right or wrong. So it's really hard for you to speak up when you're like a kid, and you're afraid that all of these people are going to come after you if you say anything. I had people coming after me all the time just because of the fact that I was close with her. I had adult fans of hers that bullied me on Facebook, in person, that treated me like crap. I was a kid. So that certainly didn't help matters very much, and it was a very manipulative way to intimidate the kids that were in her fan base. The last thing that I want to say is that I did not post this video to cancel Alice Ripley. I did not post this video because I'm going to sue her, because I'm going to hold her legally accountable. That's not why I did this. I did this because I felt like I needed to, for me, to close this chapter of my life. And I hoped that it would give other people a voice. And if you look in my comment section, it seems that it did. And that I'm very happy about. I want people to be able to share their stories as well. And for anybody who doesn't believe me, even though my comments have been overwhelmingly supportive, that's okay. I don't need you to believe me. I've spent 10 years healing this trauma. I've spent years in therapy. Whatever comes of this is a direct result and the direct consequences of Alice's actions. It's not because I woke up one morning and set out to cancel her. It's because I was sharing my truth and my story, and that's it.
And kudos to her for being so open and vulnerable. Honestly, it's giving me goosebumps just to see her talk about this, because it seems so just genuine and real, in my opinion. And I just feel so bad for these people who are in these situations, who are, you know, like manipulated by these stars. And I remember feeling like a little kid and feeling powerless. And I can see why she felt like that way before as well. Also, one thing I want to note is that when it comes to Alice's fan base, she's correct. Like when I'm going through this forum, and I have it right up here, people are just like, someone even is talking about like, so supposedly Bree has autism. I don't really know. I haven't watched any of those videos. Someone right here is actually accusing her of faking that. Like, these Alice fans are tearing her up on BroadwayWorld.com. And I am, again, sending her my love and just like, you know, bravo to her for being brave enough to speak about this. And she is creating a space where other people feel safe to come forward. On her most viral TikTok, someone wrote, "I am so proud of you. I'm from New York City and have multiple friends who took master classes and workshops with her, and they all said that she was dangerous." Someone replied to that and wrote, "Yes, I had multiple workshops with her, and it always gave me goosebumps, and she always touching? Ugh." And that's what's so scary about this like mentality in society, that like men are the problem, or that they're the only problem. I mean, trust me, I know some men that are problems. We know that. But they're also women. And we need to acknowledge that this overly nice woman who's also touchy and feely at this workshop might have bigger problems than what we think. Let's go ahead and watch her third TikTok talking about this.
So in conclusion, did Alice participate in conversations with me when I was a kid? Yes. Was Alice always touchy-feely with me? Yes. Did Alice get me alone intentionally even when I was traveling with adults who could have been with me? Did she always request that I come backstage by myself? Yes. On the occasions that my mother was with me, was she incredibly standoffish? Yes. Did she separate me from other fans, from friends? Did she allow her adult fans to bully me and let things get out of control? Yes. It wouldn't have been smart for me to have close personal friendships with her other fans. Did she constantly manipulate me into feeling like I needed her and that I would be devastated if she left my life? And did she always remind me how she was a public figure and how she had all of this influence? Yeah. Alice and I slowly started losing communication when I was about 15. The last time I interacted with her, I might have been 16. I might have interacted with her once or twice through social media when I was 17. But these are all grooming behaviors. And if this is happening to you, please tell somebody, because this is grooming. This is bad. And I feel like had I continued communicating with her and being close with her for longer, I think that it would have been even worse. And something else I want to say is I have people reaching out to me saying that they experienced this, but they were 18 at the time, so they were legal age, you know, if things did get... And I just want to say that that's still not okay. It is not okay to be newly 18 years old and being groomed by a woman in her 40s. This is the extent of the story that I feel comfortable sharing. At the end of the day.
And honestly, she's so brave for sharing that, but she does go to follow up on something. Like I mentioned earlier, there was a situation where supposedly one of Alice's fans got like physical with Brie and it got really bad. Remember, she mentioned it in her first initial TikTok and said, when one of your insane fans tried to harm me, you were the only adult in the state that could have helped and you left me there. So Brie decided to go back on TikTok and follow up on that particular story. Let's go ahead and revisit that TikTok and hear what Brie has to say.
The incident was pretty heavily revolving around fan drama. The adult that I was traveling with, who is also a fan that my family trusted very, very much. I had spent a lot of time with her up to this point. She had been in my house for holidays. I had stayed at her house in New York. Had never had a problem with her up until this point. The day before this incident, I received a text from Alice telling me that I needed to be careful around this fan, which I found a little bit odd because I had been traveling with her since the beginning of the tour and had spent a ton of time with her prior to the tour. So this fan that I was traveling with got pissed off about a situation that was between me and another fan. She grabbed my phone out of my hand, would not give it back to me. Shoved me as hard as she could into a 10th story window. I got away from her. I started to run for the door. She shoved me into the door, closed it, locked it. I was trying to think smart and I had my laptop with me. So I grabbed my laptop and ran into the bathroom and locked myself in the bathroom because I had no idea what this woman was going to do to me, but I knew that she was very violent and she was willing to hurt me at that point. This was during the next normal tour stop in Chicago, and as soon as I was able to get in touch with my family, my mom and dad flew out to Chicago. I was 14 at this point, and in the meantime, I was terrified. It takes a minute for my parents to get to the airport, go through security, get on a plane, the plane ride to Chicago, get off the plane, and actually get to me. And I reached out to Alice, who was very nonchalant about the situation and just didn't want to communicate with me at all. I actually ended up reaching out to a different cast member who knew me, not as well, but we had communicated before. And that cast member actually talked to me the entire time for several hours to make sure that I was communicating with somebody until my parents arrived. Alice was absolutely no help to me, despite her knowing me the best, despite her being the only person in the state who knew me very, very well. And she just didn't care. Now, I don't necessarily think that it was Alice's responsibility to do anything. But I know now as an adult that if a teenager is reaching out to you because they're in danger, you certainly don't do nothing. The reason I put that in the video is because it's insult to injury, and I just want people to be aware that Alice, as somebody who acted like she cared very greatly about her fans' mental health, safety, and well-being, she really didn't. And following that situation, she also gaslit me and blamed me for getting involved in fan drama. Alice was one of those people who really only cared about you if you were worshiping and praising.
So that's where the TikTok ends. And obviously that was a more like specific situation. Obviously, I kind of agree that like Alice probably should have stepped in. I mean, if you guys had this type of relationship, I feel like she would have been there to go and like save you. But yeah, that is just not okay. And of course, these are all allegations. Nothing has been proven fact. Alice hasn't said anything on social media or any reports or anything. I mean, nobody's reporting on this situation. So I just thought that we should talk about it because it fits exactly what we don't like in Hollywood and in Broadway, that there is this like dynamic where these powerful people like Alice Ripley believe that she can use her fandom and her power to go and silence people and make them do what she wants them to do. This is Bree's story to tell, and I'm glad that she is telling it. And if you guys want to go and follow her on TikTok, everything will be listed below. I mean, honestly, congrats to her for coming to peace with it and feeling comfortable enough to go public. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Here is my email. If you guys have any other video ideas for me, there is someone I'm going to be talking about soon, Brendan Fraser. Oh my gosh, excuse me, because I haven't done my research yet. But you guys have been asking for this one, and your guys' wish is my request. If you guys have something you want me to cover, email me, because if I see it enough, it's going to be covered. So Brendan is coming soon, and I will see you guys in a new video soon. Bye, guys.